The brand new Fortnite chapter is here, which means I have the updated best non-claw controller binds for you to dominate the new season. With the controller binds that I'm about to show you, it has never been easier to dominate in Fortnite. Trust me, by the end of this video, you will literally win every single game. Starting off with the PlayStation 4 as well as the PlayStation 5 controller. Both controllers follow the same layout, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna have right stick for jump and X for crouch. If you're playing on non-claw, then right stick crouch is a must for you. Unless you have really fast fingers, it's never worth it to put X or pretty much any face button on jump. Next, we're going to have our sprint bind on square. Square is the closest to your right thumbstick, so you definitely want to be making use of that. Then for reload and use, we're going to have circle. Circle is pretty vital for this because it is not that important to use reload/use on square, so you definitely want to be putting that on circle. Next, we're going to have triangle pickaxe, so you definitely want to be blueprint editing as well as just in general blueprint building for you to have the most optimal and most smooth gameplay. We're going to skip a lot of these settings and go straight to switch mode, which will be on left stick. Left stick switch mode is overpowered in that you can instantly pull out your builds without having to worry about anything. You don't have to move your finger away since your left stick is already where your fingers should be resting. For the edit controls, we're going to have the select, confirm, and reset on all of the triggers or the bumpers depending on your preference. If you prefer L1 on select or R1 on select, then feel free to do so. It doesn't really matter as long as it's on the triggers and the bumpers. And finally, which brings us to our edit building, we're going to have that on touchpad. This is an exclusive feature to the PlayStation controllers, so you definitely want to be making use of this. In fact, it is actually really easy to do. All you have to do is press the top side of the controller. You don't even have to play claw. And in general, it's one of the most optimal ways that you can actually edit on controller as a PlayStation user. Here's the rest of the controller binds if you guys need them. A lot of these stuff are not as important as the main ones that I showed you guys. Most of these aren't as significant, but it's better to be safe than sorry in case you have a setting malfunction in the middle of the game. You definitely want to be copying everything and making sure that every single detail is properly adjusted so that you don't have to worry about it when you're in game. And trust me, I've had plenty of setting malfunctions in the past and it's not great. Now let's move on to the Xbox controllers. I've played on the Xbox controller plenty of times before, and I can say for sure that these are the best non-claw controller binds. So we're going to follow the same jump, crouch, and sprint binds on the PlayStation controller. Mainly because for the same philosophies, you definitely want to be having right stick jump if you're on non-claw, and if you have sprint, you definitely want to be placing that the closest to your right thumbstick. So let's move on straight to reload and use, which we will be putting on the right D-pad. Once again, there are a lot more important binds than reload and use that should be occupying your thumbsticks, as well as your face buttons and so on and so forth. A quick example of this is toggle pickaxe, which we will be putting on Y. Y toggle pickaxe is pretty standard for the same reasons as the PlayStation controller. You want to be blueprint editing and blueprint building so that you guys don't have to have a stiff gameplay. Next up for building, we're going to skip these settings once again and move straight to switch mode, which will be on B. Although it's not as optimal as obviously putting it on left stick, it is still very much functional. I guess the sort of upside that you can have with this is that it's the standard switch mode button, which basically just allows you to transition to newer binds a lot easier. Once again, for your edit controls, keep the select, confirm, and reset binds on the triggers and the bumpers on the controller. It doesn't matter which side you want, or it doesn't matter what preference you have. As long as it's functional, it will work just fine. Which brings us straight to our edit building bind, and you guessed it, it is left stick edit. Left stick edit is probably the most accepted edit bind in all of Fortnite. And plus, your fingers are already resting on the left stick, and trust me, it does not hurt your movement, it does not hurt your aim at all. In fact, it will probably make you an infinitely better player if you're on edit building on left stick. Here's the rest of the controller binds if you guys need them. I highly recommend copying them since it helps you with avoiding setting malfunctions, which usually happens for controller players who change their controller binds. But most of the stuff that I showed you earlier are the only ones you have to take note of. So some of these you just copy and paste, no problem. It shouldn't affect your gameplay if most of these stuff are copied, especially the hover, riding, vehicle mods, or gyro settings. None of these stuff really matter. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys learned something new, and if you did, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.